So we're here for the Apache Cordova PMC to discuss some topics. We asked for the community to bring up some topics. I got some ideas from last time. So who wants to bring something up?
There's a couple on the chat. Removing doc translations is one of them.
Yes. Yes. So maybe I can say something about that. That's one of my points. So building our docs site or Cordova.apache.org takes a very long time, at least for me. So sometimes takes like 30, 40 minutes to build the site completely if I want to test a new blog post. And part of that is because of the huge number of translations and old versions and stuff like that. So it's a huge Travis, no, not Travis, how it's called, Jekyll, a huge Jekyll site. And we discussed about removing the translated documentation a few times. I found some links on the list and GitHub issues and pull requests, but it never actually happened. So maybe we could talk about it again, why that didn't happen, and if you want to do it now, because the site is a pain to work with.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason that it lingered is because, I mean, a couple of years ago, we felt like people had dedicated time to translating, and it had been somewhat of a community effort. So it felt weird to throw it all away. But I mean, I think the languages other than English are pretty much obsolete for the modern version of the documentation. So I think it's probably okay to do it. And a lot of that was done with that other program. I can't remember what we were using.
It's called Crowdin.
Crowdin, yeah. So some of it was great and handwritten, and some of it we don't even know because I don't speak that language, right? So I think it would be good to just declare bankruptcy on the translations and get rid of them all, and then start fresh, and maybe we find some other way of getting other languages supported, or maybe it's just done through some guides or something. But I would be fine with that. I had to do the security advisories this week, and you know, it's 15 minutes to build just to get a blog post up, and 90% of the output is potentially a broken link because of a translation. So yeah, it would be more efficient for sure.
Does anyone have time to work on this and drive this project forward? And
I already have a PR in place to delete everything, but one other PMC wanted me to go in and rewrite all these like cron rule or whatever rules to reroute all of these old pages to the similar English pages if they existed. And I would have to like try to figure out what they are, because some pages in the old translations just don't exist in the new translations, or vice versa. So I wouldn't know where it is. Yeah, I closed my PR because I gave up. But basically, yeah, they wanted to do something like a lot of additional work, and they wanted it to like break it out in like weeks, like it would have taken like a month or two, but they're explaining to for a release. So I was kind of like, I didn't want to like try and like drive like a month-long project or 2-month project just to like handle redirects and stuff like this, and not like full-on announcements or something. But it was already there. It was already removed in the PR. And yeah, like same thing like what Jesse said, like they are way out of date. They haven't been like updated. A lot of people had complained about how like I know some people mentioned like these words in German weren't even words that like it was just like made
Yes.
up almost. And then some people were telling me the Chinese, I think it was the Taiwanese version was exactly a same copy of the Chinese version, and they're different. There's traditional and simplified, so they're just exact copies, and it's not actually their language. Like they're kanji, they're symbols, so they couldn't actually read it, or they could probably like maybe they understand also simplified version, but yeah. So it wasn't really maintained properly at all from those languages as far as I heard, and also people that I know in on Japan side, they're telling me that the Japanese were very bad as well. So they just used Google Translate the page, and it was way much better. So there was an idea to like probably put like a Google Translate button up there to like translate this page, but from that piece I did not do, and I did some research, and it almost seems like Google got rid of that feature. Like you can't actually add that anymore. So. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can have a look at this and try and dig up your pull request and dig into that.
I posted a PR in the chat from Zoom, and one of the other issues in this PR that came up were that Brian removed old versions of Cordova docs, like version 5, 6 and stuff that's really old, because keeping that doesn't really make sense too. But it was a discussion if this is a good idea or not.
Adding it back was not that hard. That piece wasn't really that my concern. It was the other piece that was they're talking about how it would take like a month worth of time. That's the reason why I kind of like stopped, and it sat there for a while. No one else really talked, so it's like this is not going to move forward. So I don't want to like keep clutter in GitHub, so I closed it. But yeah, like that you can revert that piece. That's easy. Yeah, if you want to keep old Cordova docs, like version 1.
Just for nostalgia. Yeah, I can look at that. I'll put that on my plate. Is that enough on that issue, or shall we move on? Where's the issue list? The team page.
Yeah, that's one of my points too.
It's all gonna be you.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. I did a PR to create a new page on our website to just give a list of active or maintainers we have right now. And it's pretty simple. You just need to create a markdown file with your name and image and some description, why you work on Cordova or how you work on it. And I would like to have some more people in this PR to merge it. So the first version of the page isn't just me. And just to get the users the number of people that are active right now, because if they look at the website, there's a link to some Apache site where all PMCs are listed, and the list is like 99 PMCs, but we all know that not all of these 99 PMCs are still in the project and working it. So I think it would be a nice idea to have some little overview of people working on it.
So you need everyone to fill in their details, or shall we just? Yeah. What happens if we just accept your pull request right now? It'll just be. Nicholas is the only contributor yes. Of the modern era.
And that may look weird, so that's why I wanted some of you to add your details too. for the first version of the page. Even if it's just 5 people that are here, it would be cool.
Yep. Yeah, I can do that. I'll add my info.
I will add some info as well.
Yeah, I'll try and write something too.
So my idea was to just tell the users why we work on it, so, or how we work on it. So I'm just saying I'm working on my own time and just a little bit, so they get an image how active this project still is. So if I'm looking at the page and see some names, it took, for me as a first-time user, it took a while to get to know the people behind it. And maybe that's easier if you can see some name and image and description.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And next up, I see add close action that comments on issues asked for a new release. Some GitHub automation.
Yeah, some automation. We talked about automation a few times. And one thing that was really annoying to me, and I think some others too, is that people constantly open new issues if the release tag is created. So you create a tag for a new plugin or platform release, and people ask why this version is not on NPM yet. So I just wanted to have some fun and wrote a little GitHub action that checks the content of a new issue, and if some words like release, tag, NPM are there, it creates a comment. Please don't create the issue. The release is already in progress, and that should reduce some noise.
Yeah,
So
I support that.
I tried it out a few times. I think Tim and Brian had a look at it. And I created a pull request for the camera plugin. That's not merged yet, I think. Yeah, it's not merged yet. And just have a look.
Yeah, I don't think it was merged yet, but we were going to try and put it out on the camera plugin because that was the one where everyone was asking like 2-3 times a week or something about 4.2 release. But
so my idea was to put it in the camera plugin and like try it out. If it works, we could add it to more repos.
What number is it?
I can post a link. Number 654 is the pull request number. I hope it works this way. Tim and I discussed about the GitHub token secret. In my understanding, it should work because it's default token, but we will see once we merge it.
I would actually kind of favor, I think the fundamental problem or underlying problem is that like we discussed in the past that tags are a bit confusing, that it's probably be better to make a special tag for a release candidate and then only make a, oh yeah, I recall now. There was, I don't remember what it was. I think I'll leave it up to Brian too.
So I actually submitted the email, and I actually remember we kind of came to an agreement, and I was supposed to take all, like, collect all of everybody's responses and then make the vote email thread, which I forgot. That was probably like what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So
It's been a while.
Can't be that long, hopefully. But I can submit the vote, like that. I can recreate, or not recreate the thread, but just go ahead and jump straight to the vote thread and just take like the comments and build out what the things were. So basically, the whole idea was that people were being confused because when they see a tag of a version, they believe it's completed, it's done. But what we could do to try to help them understand it's not done and ready and not ready for release was to put a prefix to that tag. So it would have been something like draft slash or RC, release candidate slash. It really depends on like what's the terminology that we want to use. And I feel like we came, I want to say it was draft that we decided, but I was saying in the thread that I would allow everyone during the vote just put their opinion and whatever had the most requests, that would have been the final answer. But that would have solved potentially them asking us why is it not an NPM? Because it's the tags there. And the other idea or the other option would have been to keep that but remove the rel tag. But the rel tag, I think, was something that Apache, I don't know where this process is. I've tried digging through all their docs. I even used the Wayback Machine to try to go as far back through all their docs because I knew there was a page and I can't find it for some reason. But I don't know why the rel tag existed. I want to say it was actually something related to SVN, which then they carried over into Get for their Get stuff. And I even asked infrastructure, and they just ignored it. So if they knew or if they don't know, that's why they didn't share any information with me about it. So
the rel tag was, and this might have only been on the Apache hosted Git repos, which we're not using anymore. The rel tags were immutable. So once you'd created a rel/version number tag, you couldn't force push and move that tag.
I think it's still that way.
yeah, it's still it still works the same way also in GitHub. Like I feel like the way they have it set up is somehow syncing back to their Get hosted server. Like even though we're pushing to GitHub, we still can push actually to their server that would then push to GitHub or like sync up. So I think it actually is still connected somehow. I feel like
there's Apache mirrors still.
Okay.
Right, because one of the guarantees of Apache is that everything is stored by Apache.
I'll just note that with one of the releases that I did recently, I think it was iOS, I tried using the draft/prefix and ran into some Coho issues that didn't expect there to be a slash in the middle of the tag number. But aside from dealing with those sorts of tooling issues, it worked fine. Right.
Yeah, I wonder if this is just more of a communication issue. Like if we just say, you know, there's a voted process and close the issue.
Where would that be? Because the problem is that they don't read the mailing list, or they're not on the mailing list. Even if we tell them to go on the mailing list, sometimes people don't actually pay attention to it. So the thing is we would have to post it probably on the actual repo that they're requesting, but then sometimes people also make tickets in the Cordova repo. So it's like, it's not very consistent always.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like sharing the information is a little hard. Could share it in, well, if we're going to do a sharing of information, we would have to put it as much like everywhere, like the Cordova repo, iOS repo if it's an iOS release, Slack, mailing list, blog post, website.
Yeah,
I don't
I've been responding to these issues with like, it's been tagged so that we can vote on it. It's not released yet. I've been doing that on comments for years, and people just keep opening them.
I think yeah. I think the issue is if like almost every other project, just a normal numeric tag release will indicate that we are making a release. So it's like to break convention like this is going to be a surprise. Is always will always be surprising people. And that's why this is why I would really, if there's any way we could do something like draft to indicate that this is a draft.
Yeah, I think doing the draft prefix is not something impossible. That I think we could do, and they probably would read it and they would ignore it because they see the word draft, so they probably will understand that. But now they're not going to see any actual official like just numeric number, so they're going to probably look and be like, oh, rel release. Maybe they'll figure it out, or we can stop doing rel potentially. But just adding the prefix alone, like if that was all that we did and voted on, and that's all we did, that would alone solve a lot of the problems. Like that's why my whole entire original email thread was just talking about adding a prefix only. I wasn't trying to like change everything else, like the entire the release tag process or anything, just the draft piece to reduce the confusion.
I would definitely favor like agile. A more agile process is to just is to change one thing at a time, right?
Yeah. So just adding a tag, that's one thing. And if we don't see any complaints, any questions or anything, that pretty much solved the problem. We don't have to do any more work after that.
Yeah, I wonder if we can also release an actual release candidate to NPM.
We could.
So people can actually just go ahead and start using, if they're confident in it, go ahead and use it.
Go through the 2-day vote, I think. Like, so we already do like obviously nightlies, right? And that's releasing every night, so they could actually start using stuff, but it's not considered a release candidate because maybe there's bugs and it's something we haven't fully tested. But if we were to tag a release candidate, we still can't officially tell them to use this if they want to start using a newer version, because it still hasn't gone through a vote, and it would have to go through a 2-day vote process.
Yep.
And then if we were doing a 2-day vote on a release candidate so that they could potentially start using it, and then another 2-day, like shortly after for the official release, it's kind of like waste of time maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, like I understand like a release candidate would be nice. I just don't know how we could fit that in our process. Like maybe we could kind of treat it like a nightly almost, where we don't do a vote, but like we immediately release the release candidate like at the same time we do the vote, and people could start using it and testing it, and if they find a bug they could report it within the 2 days. Or we can say maybe release it a week before we plan a release, so it gives them more time to test. I don't know. But
yeah, I wouldn't. We shouldn't move backwards, because that'll just make us take longer to release, I think. It's
One
like,
idea that
now I got to wait a week.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One idea that I had, and this was thinking mostly around platform releases, was that like usually every time we do a major bump, there are some bugs because of other changes, and we usually have some sort of patch release or minor release not too long after that. If we voted on releasing the major bump, but then published that to NPM as some sort of like RC or next version or something like that, so that people could opt into it and start using it, and we could get that feedback, and then don't actually publish a version as latest until after we've made that first patch release, or after we've had 2 weeks of not hearing any major bugs, something like that. you wouldn't have to vote on it twice if it's the same package.
Yep.
You'd only have to do another vote if you had changes that you needed and needed to tag a new version.
Yeah, it would be so good if we could modernize the release process, because I mean, using NP makes things so easy. I don't know if anyone's used it, but you just NP, it asks you if you want to do a minor, patch, major, and you just follow the steps. It runs all your tests. It makes sure that you're in the exact same state as master, and it won't let, if you have uncommitted changes or anything, it won't let you release. And it just does everything for you. But we'd never get that past Apache because of the voting window. But if it was promoting a next version to a latest version, then there might be a chance.
Yeah, I think that'll be all right. I don't think they're going to complain because I actually had them do, like when I migrated the nightly over to GitHub Actions, I had to ask for like a secret token stuff to be all put into GitHub, and obviously infrastructure, like the infra team or something, they would probably jump right on and be like, can't do that if they weren't going to allow us to, you know, publish nightlies, because it's like putting a package out there. And they didn't say anything. I told them exactly word for word, this is to release nightly packages for testing purposes of our packages before official releases or something. And they didn't say anything against that. They didn't even make a comment. They just they're like, give me the information.
Yeah.
So I think if we were to do like what Daryl said about for the release candidate type of process, I don't think they're going to be against that.
Yeah, the Apache rules are mostly that you're not allowed to encourage users to download and install and use any package that has not gone through the voting process, because otherwise it's not an official release.
Yep.
So if we vote on something, we don't have to release that as latest. We can release that as a like next or RC or whatever, where we've sort of run into almost issues in the past is when we've had people like outright encouraging everyone to run at nightly.
Yep.
And that's because those aren't approved releases.
Wait, so were you saying to vote on the next, push the next, and if there was no changes, then push to latest with no vote? Or were you, okay, I was just making sure that it wasn't the other way around, like you push.
You have to vote before you publish it to next. But then because you've already voted on that release and you haven't made any changes, it's the same tag, it's the same package, you can promote that to latest.
Okay, so we just keep voting on next, and those are, like you said, the people who opt in to use it, test it, report bugs, we fix it, and then once 1 week, 2 weeks go by, nobody says anything else, and we've already voted on the last one, just push it over.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know how much sense that makes for plugins. I think that for major bumps and like platform updates, that might make more sense.
Looks like we don't have much time left on Zoom, unfortunately.
No.
I have a feeling we get upgraded.
Think so? Usually
Yeah.
it's before the 3-minute mark that it does it.
Oh. Yeah.
Wonder how many YouTube conversations are just groups of people going, I think it'll upgrade. There's like a whole bunch of 44-minute videos.
Yeah, plugins, I'm not sure. I think, well, we can figure out plugins later and see, but for the platforms, I'm kind of more concerned if there's going to be like what we're going to do for, well, I guess it wouldn't matter, but like obviously we might have to bump common before we bump still a platform. But that might mean we don't have to do more common changes, hopefully, and we just focus now on the platform. So we can probably push the common quicker.
Yeah, I don't think we'd want to go through RC promoting to latest process for Cordova lib or Cordova common or tooling, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's already a juggling act to get those released in the right order without introducing RCs to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that we're gonna get cut off. So I think we can cut here and we can continue the discussion on release process in Slack or on the dev list. If anyone wants to make a more formal proposal, that would be good too, and we could talk about the benefits of different approaches. Everyone should add their member information to the page so that we can have the community know who's working on what and why they do it. Maybe they'll join us, and we'll do this again in another 2 weeks.
Get your PRs in for Hacktoberfest too.
Yeah, good idea.
And make sure you register.
Thank you all.